think we lost some power, Jeremy. Am I on? All right, here we go. Usually I miss the cue, but it is the first show of the year. Welcome, you guys. 2025 is here. Tonight's guest, I've been really excited. We planned this out a few weeks back, and I'm excited because it's not only is it timely, but it's important discussion about groups that form like ours, Community Speaks Out, advocacy groups that pop up where needed. And this one definitely at this time and this point, I think is definitely needed. I'm going to welcome our guests from Stonington Pride. I got Megan Blanchett and Farrah Garland. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi,
We're excited to be here.
Excited to be here. So Born Political, I started basically was to introduce people to leaders in our community, and not just leaders, people that own businesses or people that were just anybody. I consider you two leaders. I'm going to thank you in advance for doing the work that you do because I really think it's important, especially now. Obviously, we know that in human history, we've always fought for what we have. And that's kind of what this movement's about. I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit about it, but I'll start with you, Megan. Born Political is about kind of where you were born and where you came from. So we're going to spend a couple minutes with that, and then we're going to work and talk about what you guys are doing today.
That sounds great.
So where are you from? Where were you born?
I am a Rhode Islander at
Rhode
heart.
Islander.
Yes, Northern Rhode Island, Situate.
Clear clam chowder?
No. I'm from the tree part of Rhode Island,
Okay.
not the ocean part of Rhode Island, and never the two shall meet.
Okay.
You don't go from north to south
I
and
did
south
not
to
know
north.
that.
Oh, there's a very clear divider there.
Okay.
And so the fact that I live near Westerly now is a whole thing for people.
Okay.
So, but that's where I'm from. That's where I grew up.
I didn't know that. So school, everything right in
Yep,
Situate
right
and-
through there, right up till college when I went to Boston.
Okay. And then brothers and sisters? And
I have a little sister, She's 8 years younger than me.
8 years
So she's
young-
still
that's a
quite
big-
little, right?
Mine is 5 years younger, and I thought that was quite the gap.
Oh,
So
but she's
8
taller
is-
than me now, which is a whole thing,
Those things happen.
right?
The younger well, my sister never got taller. So that didn't happen with us. And then went to college. Did you have a career in mind when you went to school?
I knew I wanted to be a book editor when I was tiny.
A book editor.
A book editor, and so I went to school for publishing at Emerson College in Boston.
Okay.
Graduated, got a job at a tech publishing company doing programming languages books and things like that. I'm not a programmer,
Yep.
but learned enough, and I did that for quite a while until I ended up moving into comms and marketing in startups, and so that's what I'm still doing now. I'm in product marketing.
I've interviewed probably 100 people, and they usually say, I wanted to be a police officer or this or that, and you're like, I wanted to be a book editor. Is it a family business, or what made you want to?
Well, we're all readers,
Okay,
very
yep.
strongly, and so there was definitely that. But I like molding things. I like fixing things. I like order. I really like spreadsheets. Farrah knows this. I really like spreadsheets.
I wish I could
We
love spreadsheets.
bond
I
over
can't.
spreadsheets.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're so special. And so, I have my Oxford comma shirt on. I am just a stereotype when it comes to the way I write and edit.
So then after college, obviously you said you got into the business. And
Yep. I've been headed that way, was in tech. I'm still tech adjacent at this point. I've worked in technical startups
Yeah.
and high growth startups for a decade now.
Excellent. Well, and then we'll go with Farrah. Where you're a Connecticut person, right?
I am now, but
You are now, but
only
you
for
weren't
about
born here.
14 years, I think, 14, 15. I've lost track.
Okay.
But I was born down south in North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, up in Asheville, which recently has, made the news with Hurricane Helene and all that.
Yeah. Do you still have family down there?
I do. Most of my family is still down that way.
Were they okay? They make out okay in the hurricane?
They did. Some pretty significant hits, but no loss of life.
Well,
So
that's
that's
good.
what matters.
It is.
Yeah.
So you went to elementary and went down there. And,
Yeah, I was down there, born and raised until I was 18, went and lived in Raleigh, the state capital, for a while. Married my high school sweetheart because, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
That always seems like the best of ideas.
It does.
How,
I was 19 or 18, I can't remember anymore, but it was just, a great plan. He was joining the Navy.
Yeah.
We lived in Charleston for a little bit while he was in school, and then they sent us to Groton, Connecticut, which was nowhere on our dream sheet, but here we were. And, we were here for 5 years, and the relationship, believe it or not, did not last all that long. I think we were together 7 years,
Yeah,
8 years
yeah.
altogether, which not bad for being kids.
Yeah, that's good.
But very, very amicable parting.
Yeah.
He went on to do whatever he did, and I just stayed. I loved it
you
here.
yeah, you love it here. That's so.
Yeah.
Once people get past the whole cold part, and tonight is a cold night,
It
right?
is.
Once you get past that part, it's hard to beat or me imagine living anywhere else. And
That's so true.
You know, just because of it's our culture to me. It's I could live almost anywhere surrounded by the same people, right? Maybe not in 108-degree weather. I found out I'm not that guy. I went south this summer, and that's not the easiest thing.
Yeah.
So did you go to work after once you came up? Did you come up north and?
Yeah, so I'm disabled, I'm chronically ill, born much like Lady Gaga. I was born this way. You know, I've worked since I was about 15, various jobs, you know, retail and food service. I started doing medical administrative work part-time and then full-time back when I was still married to my husband. And then after we split, kept doing that and picking up side gigs. And then I put myself through school studying natural medicine, trying to figure out what was going on with me and if there were other ways to try to help fill in the gaps that doctors just kind of were having a hard time with.
Yeah.
Tried to dovetail that with like some good STEM, some good like hard science to make sure we weren't doing any you know,
wrong.
snake oil, you know, because science is important. And
Yeah.
did that, and now I'm finishing a doctorate in naturopathy. So
Well, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I love hearing the stories behind everything, and you two are here for a reason because I actually met you through a mutual friend, Alyssa Bass, who's like one of my wife's favorite people. My wife and I should say. I love watching her videos and everything that she's doing. But you came together as, and I'm not sure how you two met, but it was, you know, I know that you're part of this group now, and we talked about a little bit off air, but how did you start Stonington Pride? How did that happen?
Well, so it started with a protest.
All good groups start with a protest.
all good groups start with a protest.
You're not wrong. So we learned in 2023 that the Stonington schools were not going to be doing anything for Pride Month. And they had done things for all the other heritage months. I had someone come read a book, had done various things. And so we, you know, reached out to folks. I was not yet on the Board of Ed at the time, but we knew people there, knew the superintendent. And so we reached out, and the feedback was that there were concerns that there was not a book that would be appropriate for elementary school students that would fit Pride. We felt that that was probably untrue.
Yeah.
And so we pushed a little bit more, and we weren't really able to make any movement, especially because this was in June. So we knew there wasn't going to be a lot of change for that year.
Right.
But we did want to make a statement, and so we gathered people together for a Read with Pride event.
Yeah.
And we got a whole bunch of kids' books related to Pride. And we went to outside the Stonington Free Library, and in the rain, tons of umbrellas with people and kids, and we read kids' books out loud for a while, including a friend of ours doing an amazing like live action like readings, movements. From film.
Very dynamic. It was beautiful. I mean, the main street through the borough was lined with folks with just signs and flags. There was rainbow umbrellas everywhere. The kids were getting their faces painted with biodegradable glitter, and just joy and community and
I think even
beautiful.
just from watching your faces as you describe it, it's probably for you in retrospect to think, you know, maybe if there was a movement when I was younger, how would I have felt if someone had come to my school and read, or how would a classmate that you knew maybe struggling, how would they have felt? And you know, through the drug addiction world that we've been, I don't want to say dabbling, we're fully immersed, swimming in it, like for the last 11 years. We're finding that it's the little things that hurt someone, the little words, the little snubs. We see it a little bit politically now. We talked off air about the military, and I think how it's the message of, you know, we're not going to support people that have they classified it as a gender dysphoria. That's a classified medical term that should be addressed with medicine and doctors, just like any other thing. And I think little things like this just give people sometimes you got to hear it from somebody. And, and I think that's what's important. So moving forward, like, I know when I talk about making change, change only happens through votes. And everybody can say they want to do this, they want to do that, we want to go scream on the corner and yell and then never go back again. You didn't do that. Megan, I'm leading into this because I think it's so important for people that want to see change to be part of the change. And I know you didn't get elected in a vacuum. You had help here. So you ran for Board of Ed.
Yes, I did.
You're a member.
And I am now a member. Yep, it's been about a year, a little
Yep.
over a year.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience, and also having a running mate with Farrah, because Farrah was also running for Board of Finance.
That's right.
And the two of us together being able to go out and do that in the community together, and the feedback we got that progressives can be elected and can be heard, and that people want that and they crave that was really wonderful. And it's also led to such excellent things, and let Farrah give more details about what happened last year with the proclamation. But when you think about the fact that we started in 2023 with a protest, last summer we had a proclamation, and we're talking more with the schools, with the town about doing even more this year, and built a really wonderful relationship with the superintendent about what we can do, and it's just so different, and all it took was that one day in the rain.
Yeah. And that's how, like, when I joke when I say stuff starts with a protest, but there were things now that I see in retrospect with I have family that, in my family, there are two people that transitioned, both born male and then becoming female. But talking to my cousin, that really in the absolute agony that parents go through when they hear that their child wants to end their life and they see no other way, no window, nothing else makes sense. My government's telling me that I don't belong. With legislation, my teachers, they're not. There's no pride in Stonington. There's no outlet. There's no this. Just know that whatever that little thing that you did, my cousin could have been at that thing and saw the positivity that came from that day. And both that have transitioned are living wonderful lives now. Struggled through school, absolutely, almost didn't make it. Both of them, but are on the other side. Found a community that, again, a lot of times you just need that support, and that's what you guys are trying to do. Are there other events? I think that something coming up, something planned that you guys haven't, or thoughts that you like to see happen?
Oh gosh, yeah.
A lot, right?
Oh my gosh, so many things. Well, as far as things that we are doing, so since the election, we got flooded with people reaching out, which is great. I'm glad that we were a place that people could reach out to. So we started doing every other week, we get together in person at the Diddy Bag Market and Cafe in Jason's place in Mystic. And we have just we call it our community and self-care meetup. And we just get together as a community, queer folk and allies, whoever wants to be there with good intentions. Bring whatever crafty thing you're working on, coloring pages, your fidget spinners, whatever, and we just come together and are together and spend an hour or so, get a coffee, get a cookie, and just vibe and build community.
Yeah.
And that's been huge for people. I mean, and for myself. Just developing that network and that community is one of the biggest and most important things we can do.
Just being is a lost art.
It is.
Like, I think, we're such in a rat race when you look at, tribes from other countries that, not what seemingly seems to be nothing getting done during the day because they'll do their chores in the morning before the sun gets hot. And then they're just kind of, hanging out and taking care of each other and kind of playing soccer sometimes, whatever they're doing. And then at the end of the day, they have to, prepare and get ready for the next day. And a lot of times we look at that as how unfortunate, but really, they're with their parents and grandparents, and our whole our whole country is different. We put, your kid's 18, you spike the football and you tell them that they're supposed to leave, and now I'm going to go to another state because I'm going to save $2,000 in taxes and I'm never going to see you again, like that. But that's all culture, and I think it hurts in a lot of different ways. I've seen it not just in my family but in others, where you have a young family going through something, and where my mom and dad were able to say, go talk to your grandmother, maybe she has an opinion. This generation almost doesn't have that. Like, and it's a lost thing of just going, and I know I go on tangents, but it just reminds me that you go there with just the intent to be, like just you're there. Be. And maybe someone comes up with something cool and you want to try it or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, people share a lot. And this is also, oftentimes, queer folk aren't necessarily people who have the best family dynamics necessarily. Yeah. So, even if we are in a place where people can go and talk to their parents or their grandparents, queer folk don't necessarily have that to fall back on. Some do, which is awesome, but not everyone does. So these community spaces are really vital, and it's just been really beautiful. We've been having what we call our Rage and Resource Zoom calls on Friday evenings, where we can just come together as queer folk and vent and just have our feelings out there, no judgments, and then also talk about what we need, what we have, what we can share, what would be beneficial, and what we need moving forward. And we've been putting together a resource list and working with some of our legislators as well as other community members and groups to help bolster the community for what we're dealing with now and what we anticipate for the next few years.
Yeah.
That's been great. And we have, we're working with a few other organizations. Thought Fox Writers Den in Stonington, they do a queer book group in partnership with Big Square Books. We partner with them on that, which is just a wonderful time. We're also working on getting a movie night and a game night going, just again, more community building.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we started doing early on was pride flags. We looked around and realized that one of the reasons that people felt alienated and alone was not only was there no pride group, no events, but there was not really a lot of visible show of support for queer folk in Stonington.
Yeah.
So we decided a good first step would be to just help folks get more pride flags out and visible.
Yep.
Say, hey, you're welcome here, you're loved here, this is a good, safe place. So we started offering, hey, if you live in or work in the greater Stonington area, if you'll put out a pride flag, we'll give it to you for free.
Yep.
And we've, given out about 50 of them now.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
That's great.
Yeah, and we're getting requests every day. It's amazing.
And for the people that do take one and put one up, I've had one on my boat before. We've had one in front of our house before. I don't think that when people drive by and see it, for the people that need to see it, it means a lot to them.
It does.
And it has become like a lightning bolt. Also, like people see that flag and they think that it's negative and it's going to hurt their town. Or we have to look from both sides, try to understand people. But I think when people, at least people I talk to, when they say, I don't want to, they have nothing to do with that. Like, I hear it from both sides. I'm in construction. But when I can tell them and connect them with a story like what my cousin went through, like, these people are like trying to save their child. They really don't care about your thoughts or what you think or what they're going to do. They would like your support, though. And that's what I say. And I remind people, when you're on Facebook and you're saying sometimes which are outlandishly mean, and these people that I know would probably have never said that to someone's face, but you get behind the computer and you start saying things that you normally wouldn't say to anybody for any reason. Doesn't matter if it's this subject or another. Just to remind people that when you say things that there's a coworker that's going through what you're going through. I didn't realize how much the words really meant until we went through the addiction part. And you're like, so I'll hear someone at work say, oh, look at that stupid junkie. They should just die. Why do we even save them, right? That's said more than probably 1 million times a day in this country. And I guarantee you are saying that earshot of someone that either lost somebody, because we're losing so many people. And just to remind people that, and that not just in that drug addiction thing, it's pride, it's whatever you're a part of.
That's right.
And that's why you got to keep pushing and keep fighting. And the whole, did you get elected to the finance?
That's complicated. I got the vote.
You got the votes, yeah?
And
There was a rule, a minority rule.
minority rule.
Okay.
Yeah, so
There's always some weird rule.
But I want
so
to
the
be very,
Republican that lost to me got the seat, but you
I want to
know.
be very clear that Farah got the votes though by a lot. I feel the need
Excellent.
every time it comes up that I won. I need it to also be clear that Farah won too.
Farah
and were
won.
it not for a little like weirdness there, Farah would also be
Yeah.
on the Board of Finance and kicking butt.
There's minimum
Thank you.
representation. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of folks that watch, if they don't know, there's minimum. You have two major parties, and if there's 5 seats, it can only be 3-2 or 4-1, whatever the town decided.
Right.
So congratulations on your victory, non-victory.
Thank you, thank you. I got to win, and then I didn't have to do the work, or didn't
Yeah.
get to do the work. I did get to go and be treasurer for a really wonderful state rep that just got sworn in, though. So that's really
Excellent. Good for you.
So,
But you know, when you do run, and even if you're unsuccessful, you were in this case, but if you're unsuccessful, what people don't understand, and you can see it actually unfolding right now in the presidential election, is these folks that ran against Trump, who is going to be our next president for 4 years, all of a sudden have this voice, right? Because when you're on stage and you're putting in your points, no matter win or lose, they now have to be addressed. And you know, the flag has to be addressed. That's what people don't understand when they say we have no power. And I think, coming from you especially, both of you, when you're trying to make a change, I think most people feel that they're powerless. And I don't think that you two feel that way, right? You did this one protest, and now you're a member of the Board of Education. I mean, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, because I feel when I first got involved, it was because they weren't keeping score in my daughter's basketball game. That's why I got involved in politics. I wasn't in politics at all, not a bit. And they weren't keeping score. And I said, this is ludicrous. Like, she's 12. Like, I want my daughter to know who won or lost. I'm not even competitive. I told you about my bowling. Don't care. But I do want them to understand that losing's okay and winning feels great. But I want her to have those feelings, and you can't do that if you don't keep score.
Right.
Join the RTM, change that rule. And I said, oh my gosh, you can actually change stuff. And it kind of got me thinking that maybe I should do this and for other things that are not basketball related. But so you got involved and then said, I'm going to put my name on a sign.
I didn't want the sign, but I had to put up the sign. And I had actually, when I first moved to Stonington, shortly afterward, I kind of looked around and I was like, you know, I had never lived in a town that was quite the same, where there was a crew team and everyone had boats, and it's the disparities between the different sides of town and everything.
Yeah.
And so I emailed the then Board of Education, and I was just like, what are you doing to help produce children that know how to live in a diverse world? What kind of diversity is in our programming? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, how can we make a change? And most of them, they sent me to the then assistant superintendent, now superintendent, Marion Butler. And we had a call where we both went in thinking, oh, this person's just going to yell at me and be unhappy and blah, blah. And we ended up spending 2 hours talking and getting involved. And then she connected me with, various groups in the town. I was on the diversity group that we had a bit for the schools. I was getting involved with the DTC. And I just I call it the boiled frog thing, right? Like they talk about. And they started saying, in a few years, a Board of Ed seat's going to be open. You should think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And then all of a sudden it was that year. And they were like, so we're gonna nominate you. And I was like, oh yeah, I did say I would do that. And it just kind of happened, but it helped having the Stonington Pride stuff beside me and knowing that we had made change and that it was possible. Yeah. And that there was a hunger for that kind of thing. Because running is scary in a lot of ways. Like, not everyone's nice, Canvassing can be intense. The emails you get are intense. The comments on Facebook. And so knowing that that I was surrounded by that village, by that community, made a real big change.
And the whole platform here is to get other folks to know you, because I'm sure there's somebody that's watching that didn't vote for you just because they don't even know you. Let's face it. Like I'm Joe Dela Cruz, and I ran in Groton, and there's a ton of people that had no idea who I was, and they voted for me because I had a D in front of my name, or against me because I had a D in front of my name, and no other reason. And I think if we can get past that, because we have so much more in common. Like, we really, really do. And you can see there's fractures in both parties. We can see people getting pulled in different ways. And I just think that, like, you got to figure out the group that's going to give the really things that mean a lot to you. Obviously, those are going to pull people. But off air, I talked about, it's my analogy of the deer, right? The most deadly animal in America is a deer. And I did not know that until 2 weeks ago. And come to find out where, you know, instead of like doing an overpass, like they do the wildlife overpasses that take care of the deer population where they're not running across the highway killing people. We just talk about the bears and the sharks, the one shark attack in the world.
That's right.
So it's how do we serve everybody, really? And you guys, I think, getting to the bottom of going in schools and giving these people, you know, a safe place. And that's hopefully what we can continue to do. And so Board of Ed wide, is there any goals that you have, like, that you think, I'm sure there are, but.
There's a lot going on right now, particularly with, you know, budget season coming, and we're figuring out things with the middle school. But one thing that I've been really impressed with is that the board itself is it's not partisan, right? Like I get along with all the members equally, regardless of what side they're on or not on.
Who has the majority?
Democrats have the majority. Then we have an independent, and then a couple. Actually, no, one Republican. But but the independent was endorsed by the Republicans, and so it's definitely more on the Democrat side. But we all have our beliefs, and we all have our things, but we all put the kids first. And so that's my main goal going through this year, is because their budget gets to be a whole thing, and the what to do about the middle school, and what to do about the turf, and what to do about this. All these things go up, but at the end of the day, we just need to really remember that it's about the kids.
Yep.
And I want to continue that and continue. There's awesome programming being planned around, you know, helping kids find different trades and getting the high school kids. There's talk of like a food truck going out. Like there's just really cool stuff that we can do for these kids.
Yeah.
And I want that to be the focus and not the nonsense that we have to do in order to get this stuff forward.
That's just funny. I think most folks that show up all angry at a board meeting and sit there and watch and go, thank God people are doing this. It's 4 hours of, it's minutia of where the dollars and nickels and pennies go. And it's not oh my God, they just spend money willy-nilly. I found Democrats too, very, very budget conscious.
Yes.
Like we all are. We all have houses, we all pay taxes. We want the best bang for our buck. And when you get into those meetings, the things that you thought were going to happen, like I feel like I could watch paint dry on a wall professionally at this point. And we're only down to a minute, so I want to give you guys like 30 seconds to kind of talk. If there's something that you wanted to bring up, or an event I know I have my drag queen bingo coming up on January 20th that I'm excited about for Community Speaks Out. But do you guys have something coming up, or is there anything that you want to?
I feel like I've talked a lot.
You've been doing great. We are looking forward to, we're partnering with the town of Stonington to do a bunch of really great stuff throughout the month of June.
Okay.
Exact dates and stuff are still being worked out.
All right.
And then of course, Wilcox Park in Westerly does their Pride in the Park, and we partner with them last year and this year. Looking forward to doing that again, and just, keeping on.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming on the show. And just to remind you guys that, all these groups that we've had on, from homeless groups to we all kind of interconnect, and we see each other at different events during the course of the year. If you want to be a member of any group, we talk about, I don't really care which group it is. Tonight, I think would be a great group to join because, the more you know is the more you know about your community, and when you really want to make a change, you might as well go to the people that are already in the middle of it. They sound like they're this powerful group because they are powerful. I was so excited to meet them tonight. I hope you guys got a good night out of this, and we're going to see you next week. We're going to go this whole 2025. We got a lot of people lined up to come and see us. New legislation coming through. Be on the lookout. Go to these Board of Ed meetings, watch them. I'm Joe Dela Cruz. This has been Born Political. We'll see you next week.